I've heard of situations where the language school actually calls immigration and tells them that, hey, this person's been skipping, I don't want to sponsor this person anymore and you have to go home. For today's video, I'll be talking about my first day at Japanese language school and how I made some friends. Before I came to Japan, my Japanese language school already sent me an information packet. It was written that a week before classes were supposed to start, I needed to go to school and take a placement test to know which shift I'll be going to. Most Japanese language schools actually operate in 2 shifts. The first shift is in the morning from 9 until 12 or 12:30, and the second shift is from 1 to around 4 or 5. So I go to my language school and I'm really nervous because I don't know what's inside the test. I don't know if I'll make any friends, all of that. So first day jitters, and they usher me into this classroom. It's a really big classroom filled with so many other people, all from different countries. Curiously enough, I was the only Filipino. This is strange. I just expected that there would be more Filipinos, but yeah, I was the only one. So we're all in this classroom, right? And the teacher starts explaining the process. First, we take an exam for however long. I think they gave us about an hour or so. We were made to wait because they'd had to manually check which class we would get into. And we were a lot of people, so I was expecting to wait a really long time. But in all actuality, it was about 30 minutes. And after that, it was really cool because when we got to the lobby of the school, all our names were kind of like printed out on these massive sheets of paper, which said what class we belonged to. So like what section we belonged to and what shift. I was put in the, I think, S class, and we were in the morning shift. I was so happy about that. At language school, because you're there to study and they are sponsoring your visa, to be late or to be absent or skip class is a really big deal. And I've heard of situations where the language school actually calls immigration and tells them that, hey, this person's been skipping, I don't want to sponsor this person anymore and you have to go home. There are a lot of things that you need to be careful about, and just don't forget why you're in Japan in the first place, and I think you should be good. Come the first day of actual school, I go into the classroom. There's already a seating arrangement printed out. I sit down in my seat and I look around. Everyone else is so much younger than me, and it was really unnerving because I felt so incredibly old. And when I say young, I meant I was 25 at the time and everyone else was 18. That's how young they were. Not only that, but we couldn't really communicate because most of my classmates were from Vietnam. They just graduated high school in Vietnam and they were studying Japanese, but yeah, no English whatsoever. They made me sit next to Duk-san. I think you'll see him in one of my vlogs. He was studying for N2 at the time and our level was basically N5. Okay, spoiler alert, he passed. But I remember just feeling so thankful because every time I didn't understand anything in class, he would really explain it to me as carefully as he could in Japanese, which made me feel so thankful that our common language is in Japanese and not in English. I really didn't feel babied. I really felt like I needed to push myself because if I wanted to connect to my classmates, I would have had to use Japanese. There's no other way. Although one of my classmates did know English, her Japanese, I think, was much more proficient than her English. So it was still a good experience for the both of us. I really appreciate my classmates because you think that you're so much older than them, they're from a different culture, maybe you guys won't get along. In fact, it was the opposite. They really tried to make sure that I was included in everything that they did. Like even during break time, which is about 10 minutes every 45 or 50 minutes, I think, they would really try to talk to me, or they would like ask me how my weekend was, and I really appreciated that because moving to Japan and not really having any friends at the time can be really scary, but you can always make friends with the people around you, like your classmates, and you can even talk to your teachers. Actually, all my teachers were very supportive of my YouTube channel, which was really funny. Another thing that happened near the start of my Japanese language school experience was that they had the Tokyo police come to school and like explain some rules, which I thought was like really cool but also really random. So they came into the classroom and they told us the do's and don'ts of living in Japan and how basically not to get arrested or be a nuisance to anybody else. So one of them I remember was, in Japan, you're not actually allowed to, or at least in Tokyo, from what I remember, you're not allowed to carry self-defense items like mace, a taser. Yeah, you're not allowed to carry any of that because Japan is supposedly very safe. And the next thing I remembered was, If you're living in an apartment, you're not allowed to leave anything in front of your door in the hallway. Basically, don't clog up the hallway because it's not your space anymore. More stories about my classmates at language school. I found it so sweet of them. We had a field trip to Mount Fuji. I can link that vlog somewhere up here. They actually made a really big potluck lunch for everybody in class just to share Vietnamese food. And unfortunately, I wasn't there. It was a different group of people, but I would have wanted to join that so bad. It's a good thing that after the field trip, we all went to a restaurant together and hung out and relaxed. And another thing I love about Japanese language school and how I made friends is the chance or the opportunity for you to share parts of your culture. Overall, like my first 3 months at Japanese language school, it just filled with fond memories because the subject matter wasn't too hard yet. Everyone was so new to the country and just living here. And I hope that your experience at Japanese language school will be just as good or even better than mine. Try to make as many friends, use Japanese, and don't forget why you're doing this. Don't forget why you're studying Japanese, and you should be alright. So if you want any more story times going to a Japanese language school, please do let me know, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!